It's official. Kate Darby is the new Charleston County School Board chairwoman. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with her one-on-one. Kate, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you as well.
I appreciate this.
I'm happy to talk with you.
Thank you.
Good.
Well, let me talk to you about the obvious. And this is the headline in the Post and Courier newspaper from November 29th. Kate Darby elected Charleston County School Board chair. As we sit here right now, knowing that you were voted 6-2, where are you emotionally?
Well, I'm really excited. It's also a huge task. I mean, Cindy Coates has done a great job for 4 years as chair, and you've got the responsibility for more than 50,000 students, and you're representing the whole county. So it's a big task, but I'm really excited and looking forward to working with a great board for the next year.
As a matter of fact, I believe you told Andy Pruitt this, but you said this quote, "I'm very passionate about not only education, but I'm also passionate about how we as a board should be operated so that we can best serve our students and people in the district. We have a great group of this year of 9 board members who I think are really passionate about achievement, student achievement, and that being our focus." A couple of things stuck out to me.
Yes?
How would you actually work with a board of 9 people?
Well, that's a good question. There are 9 of us elected from throughout the county to represent different areas of the county, and I think the biggest thing is communication. Communicating with the board members, finding out what their issues are, finding out how we can work together to solve problems. We're not always going to agree. You see that. You've come to board meetings, so we don't always agree, but I hope that we can all be respectful of each other's positions.
Sure.
And one of the reasons that I ran for the school board is because I really wanted to see the board focus on student achievement. That is our role. Our role is what needs to be done in the district. So what needs to be done is to improve student achievement. The how is really the staff's responsibility. So we hire a superintendent who hires other people down the line, principals and teachers, and they implement how it should be done. But I think that everyone on the board agrees that our focus has got to be on student achievement. That's how we'll know that we've been successful when we see those numbers improve.
You talk about superintendent. Let's talk about Jarita Postaway.
Yep.
Wonderful lady, by the way. She came under heavy controversy last year, right after the Melvin Manuel tragedy. As we sit here right now, when you look back at then to right now, what is the biggest thing that sticks out to you when you think of her and her performance?
I think that she's just done an outstanding job. She's a workhorse. She works 24/7, literally. I mean, you can reach her in the office at night.
Yes.
She's working on the weekends. I hope she'll get to spend some quality time with her family.
Yeah.
But she understands what we need to get done in this district. And I think that's really going to be a focus for her this year. Last year, we all know we had some
Right.
things pop up during
yeah.
the year that a lot of people weren't aware of, and so she's kind of put those fires out. But she's got a great team of people working with her. They love working with her, and I think they're really focusing on what we all agree needs to be done, which is improving student achievement.
We turn to the West Ashley TIF. As you know, the board approved that 6-1. I know you will actually have to ask, the school district will ask the city about the approval of the plan and whatnot. When you think of TIF, what does that tell you?
Well, I've learned even more about TIFs since I have been on the school board. So to me, a TIF is a way for a community to work together with other parts of, taxing entities. So Charleston County, the city of Charleston has asked us, but Charleston County, the school district, and anybody else that's a taxing entity to give up the growth in our taxes over a certain time period so that they can do some what I would call infrastructure improvements. And add sidewalks on Sam Rittenberg, do some things to make Citadel Mall area more conducive for people to want to have their businesses there. So I think it's a win-win. The board was really hesitant at first because we've got a lot of things that we have to get done with that tax money. So we went back to the city and said, we'll participate, but we only want to do it at 45%, not at 100%. And so I think that was a good win-win for both the city and for the district.
And as I was on my way here to your particular location, I thought about a couple of things. Describe to me the following one word: coherent governance.
In one word?
Oh, take as much time as you want.
proactive. And I think the term coherent governance has gotten a little of a bad rap.
Okay.
I think what I've wanted to do, both as an individual board member and I hear other board members do, is that we need to really have a structure in place in this school district where the board does what the board is supposed to do and the staff does what the staff does. Now, currently, the Charleston County School District has 278 policies that the board is responsible for. And that's just unwieldy.
Yes.
And there's policies there that really aren't things that we should be addressing. There's things that should be board policy about how we're going to operate, what our responsibilities are. But then there are things that should be more like regulations, just this is how that works.
Right.
And then there are things that really ought to be in the CCSD employee manual and in the CCSD discipline manual, the code of conduct. Those things now are in the board policy manual. I mean, I feel like the school board shouldn't be deciding the homework policy for the district. That's something the superintendent with her team should decide. But it's a policy within the board policy. So I'm hopeful that with the leadership of our board members, we'll be able to really overhaul those policies, get them down a little bit more narrow and focused on what the board should do, and then be clear about what the staff should do.
Abuse Academy's syllabus list. I know
Yes.
that was a tough topic on Monday night.
It is. Do I have to do one word for that?
Go
Or
for
just
it.
talk? Okay,
Just
so
talk.
the sibling list, I think there was some confusion. One of the things that the staff and board have been working on over this past year is
Right.
to try and really increase diversity at some of our magnet schools. There's been a lot of talk about we need more diversity at School of the Arts and the Academic Magnet. No
Okay.
question about that. And as you know, the children, their parents and children apply to the magnet schools each year. Well, at Buse, there's actually 4 different lists because we're trying to get people from downtown. We're getting people from perhaps other schools and other areas that are not achieving. And there's a sibling list. Well, some of these lists had 3,000 students on it. So they were, kids had been on this list for 8 years. So we're going to keep the sibling list. There'll still be a sibling list.
Okay.
So if you have a child at Buse and you have a child that's at another school, you can apply. But you just apply each year. And you might be number 500 one year, and then the next year you might be number 2, and then your child can get in. So I think it's not going to keep siblings from getting in. We still have a sibling list and they can still get in. But you won't be on that same list for 8 years. I mean, it just continuing to grow and
Right.
grow. We just didn't feel like that was the most effective way to, have kids get into abuse.
Yes.
So,
Pattersons Academy.
yeah, Pattersons Academy is a great school, and they serve children who are pretty extremely disabled, and they put so many resources into that. But it's hard work and it's expensive because you've got to have a really, really, really small teacher to student ratio. So over the last year, we had some conversations with them because they're a charter school about them coming into the district, doing away with the charter. And then they decided that they really wanted to keep operating as they had been. But I think that door is always open for them to come in and be a part of, the school district and not have their charter. So I think whatever works for those students is what we need to be doing. What works for the students best and those parents, because they're obviously very involved in their daily education.
Absolutely. The budget shortfall.
The budget shortfall, I could say that was a nightmare. That was really frustrating. I think it was really frustrating for all of us. And as I look at the kind of financial information that we get now,
Right.
compared to the kind of financial information we got 2 years ago, I think we've made great strides. So basically, staff was just operating, and when we spent too much someplace else, we weren't making any cuts to the budget. And the board never looked at any financial statements. So it'd almost be like you or me running my family budget without ever looking at how much money I had in the bank and what obligations I had.
Okay.
So we're budgeting a heck of a lot better. In the past, the board would only look at the part of the budget that was going to be either more or less than the previous year. We didn't look at the whole budget.
Okay.
So that's changed, and we're spending a lot more time focusing on the budget, cash flow, where we are. We put in a new time clock system, so people swipe in and out for that.
Right.
I think that's going to save some money.
Yes.
So I think it was a really awful thing to all go through,
Right.
but I think they're really good now, checks and balances in place, so we don't have that happen again.
Well, we know that you've been on the school board for 2 years, I believe
Yes,
now.
yes.
And you're obviously the new chairwoman of the Charleston County School Board. But when you take off your educational hat, who is Kate Darby?
Because I don't take off my educational hat very often. My husband gives me a hard time because I have my phone
Yes.
and my iPad with me all the time, so I'm always, I have a hard time just completely relaxing. I like to read when I do other things, watch TV, that kind of thing. But I'm married and I have 2 children, and they're grown, so it's fun now seeing them in their own jobs and in their own homes. And we have 2 dogs, and they take up a lot of our time, spending time with them. So, but I'm, as you can tell in that article, I talked about being passionate
Right.
a lot. I'm passionate about what I do for CCSD education. I'm passionate about the work I do here at Store Funeral
Right.
Home. But I like to, I have a little bit of downtime, but not much.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Kate Darby, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much, and you have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.